I'm Matt Rhodes, and I'm the art director on the Veilguard.
And I'm Francois Chaput, and I'm the missions and level design director on the Veilguard.
Yeah, first of all, I'm loving the design of the game and everything. Yeah, actually, too, it plays very, really fast too. I love the controls and everything. So tell us a little bit about like how you guys came up with the design for like this game for like new levels and stuff compared to like the previous projects and stuff like and the changes we're gonna get to see too.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. One of the things I love talking about the most on this game is, first of all, it's very obvious that it's been a long time coming. We've been thinking about it for a long time, but what we've really tried to focus on was have a version of this game ready and evaluatable by the whole team. So be it from storyboards that represent the entire story and the choices that players can click through, and we can all give each other feedback, going all the way back to, about a year and a half ago when I was able to start and finish my first playthrough of the game in Engine. So one key thing there was giving each other a lot of feedback and being very honest and critical about it. And it's gone through so many iterations.
Yeah, it's been like far, far earlier than ever before. Like there's just been this level of intentionality where we just got it up on its feet, even if it was rough, but like beginning to end playthrough way, way earlier. And then that's been awesome to be able to then, like iterate, expose, like get feedback. And then also invite even more of the team to understand the context of what's going on. So it's like whether it's combat levels, like any aspect of it, whatever you're building, you have an understanding of where your role fits into the bigger picture, which then opens things up for like improv. It's like people have skills that they wouldn't use unless they knew they had the opportunity. And so it's been really cool to then this game, more than I'd say probably any that I've been on before, and I've had some great experiences. It's even more of a byproduct of the team that has been building it. It's like, it's really an expression. Only this team could have built this game, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I am brand new to Dragon Age. I've never played a Dragon Age game before. I understand the excitement that a lot of people in this room have for it and the appeal and the, coming back now with Veilguard. So keeping this from an art perspective, obviously playing through what I've seen so far, very beautiful game, visually stunning, love it. So talk about some of the inspirations that you have, like what immediately is coming to my mind, obviously is Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, things like that. But what were some of the inspirations for that?
Well, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm a firm believer in, like I've been able to work on every Dragon Age game in this series so far. So I've seen how it's developed over time. There's a very clear ongoing narrative that we're still excited to continue telling. And that's been really great. From an art direction standpoint, I'm a huge fan of fantasy stuff. I love all of these stories and consuming them, and they're awesome. But I'm also a believer in art that doesn't support it. Like the art has to support the story and the gameplay and all of that stuff. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. Like you could design the prettiest or the craziest creature imaginable, but if it's not fun to play, you haven't really done much. So it's like it's always trying to design what's right to tell that the story you're given. And so for us, we're a continuation of the story that took place in Inquisition and continues on. We're going off the map. So it's like, rather than here's a new version of what you've seen before, it's taking hints and only like whispers of different locations that, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we got to see this? And we're actually going there this time, which is like, we want to make sure that, for people who are brand new to it, it's like, this looks really cool. But for people who have been with us, throughout the series, they should show up in these places and be like, oh, we're finally here. And like, I know where that comes from. I recognize that, we get to go, and like, there should be that sense of like, this is very much the world that like they were expecting, but still filled with surprises and things around every turn. So it's very much based on like trying to honor what's come before and make sure we're a continuation. But then, with every project we learn stuff, we want to try new stuff. And so it's just a constant negotiation with the team, with the stories that the writers want to tell, the gameplay that gameplay wants to work on. And so, yeah.
I know the last game, it was open world. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This one is not like that, but I felt like I like the design for this one a lot better. I feel like sometimes when open worlds is just like too much, but this one I feel like it's a good amount of space, to walk around, everything like that, to do missions for like also like battles against enemies. Like I feel like it's a lot better design wise, in my opinion. Yeah. So like, what do you guys in the beginning had an idea of like, okay, I want this game to be open world? It was always been this plan for this design right now?
Yeah, well, we started with some pillars. What are the things that matter the most to us? And from a world building perspective, first of all, we started with the identity of a Dragon Age game. Core to its DNA is player freedom and agency. So no matter what we do, that's got to stay there. But the second pillar was we really wanted to have focus. And going back to what Matt said, everything we do should be contributing to one of the narratives we're trying to tell. And there's quite a few of them, be it Davrin's backstory, his family that you can meet, or the people of Treviso or in Minrathous and the different challenge they're facing. So really focus was the second pillar, and bring you to all the areas that are meaningful, that we can tell that story. And then you'll see throughout the course of this demo, it opens up a lot more in other areas, but it never goes to full open world. We try to keep you on in different areas where meaningful things to be discovered, fun things to be discovered.
Yeah, I mean, based on conversation I had with my companions, is that also going to open up new areas in the game too, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Later on, like they're all narratively paced. So as it goes on, you'll find some opportunities that I'm excited for you all to see. I don't want to spoil them yet. I want it to be a surprise for you as well, for the demo, but the players as well.
He stole my question. I just want to say that because you did two in a row saying that. But sticking on what you're saying as far as with the companions, again, it's bioware, so the choices that you make will matter. Excuse me. I even noticed in the demo I've been playing now, you'll have the option of which character to take along with you. How does that affect the moment-to-moment action in the games? Does that open up different scenarios within the gameplay of the level design? And also with the different choices that you make, I see some people will agree, some will disagree. So I would also assume that's going to play off as you get deeper into the game.
Yeah, well, as you're seeing that we have a very deliberate approach to how we let Rook interact with the companions, and there are quite a few reasons for that. And one of them was it gives us an opportunity, going to what you're mentioning about which companions come with you and where, it gives us an opportunity to give them a personality and how they will interact with the space. So one of the things I like talking about the most that isn't in this demo is we're going to have some one-on-one missions where it's just you and one companion in their neighborhood, seeing their perspective and what they care about. And it's a lot more personal. And we have this opportunity now because they are their own person. They are acting of their own personality, and in a way it actually deepens that relationship. So that's one of the things that we're really excited about. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, and you will see this in Weishaupt as well later, is sometimes they all come with you and you're just choosing who's beside Rook, but they're all there and they're all contributing, because when the world's about to end, everybody should be contributing. So that was an important thing that we've discovered as an opportunity of this.
Second question. So again, I'm curious, like Danny already mentioned, this is not an open world game. So it does seem, I don't want to necessarily say linear, but it seems more structured as you're going beat to beat. There was one encounter I'll leave out of this interview that I already ran into that I found pretty fun, but clearly we're going to see dragons. Clearly there's going to be some big in-level bosses that we're going to fight, but are there going to be any random kind of mini boss encounters along the way as we go along?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked. You're the first person to ask me this too, so it gives me a nice opportunity to talk about it. But
I'm excited to hear how you answer.
But yeah, so we've built a lot of side content, optional content through side quests and stuff like that, and they all are contributing to some of the area's narratives and stuff. And there's a particular Mornwatch quest that will have you hunting specific mini bosses throughout the entire world. And it's one of my favorite things to do. I don't want to spoil any more than that, but absolutely we do have a lot of that once the game opens up.
Which one of all the from the demos that we were playing today, any of the levels that was like the most challenging to design for you and your team, and why?
I want to hear your answer.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Is that okay? I'll answer. I mean, challenging as far as just purely the from two different perspectives. Weishaupt, which you'll see later, was it's the climactic moment of Act One. So it's got to be this huge spectacle, and with that, there's all these levels of complication. There's narrative. There's like it's one of those moments. And again, where like all the followers or the companions, sorry, are present at various stages along the way. But then there's this extra layer where Weishaupt is a place that anyone who's a Dragon Age fan has heard reference to it. Characters have talked about it. It's been in books. It's been in different places. And so there's this extra challenge for us where we want to make sure any details we've put out before we're hitting, so that people get excited to be like, hey, it's just like they said. And then also trying to shoot past that. So it's like, it can't just be like, well, I guess they did it. Yeah, that's fine. Like, it's got to make you stop and go like, whoa, at some point, like, whoa, that's, oh man. Like, it has to have that spectacle and that scale, which, it's, and points to the team. They did an amazing job. I'm excited for you to play it. Yeah, there's a couple moments throughout it that just like, it still hits me as someone who kind of I had my own ideas of what it would be, and it's kind of overshot at least those. So hopefully there's at least some players who can say the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, later in this demo, you're going to meet Lucanus, or have you already met him? Not Lucanus, you haven't met him yet, eh? No, okay. That's coming up. That space is one of my favorites because of the way it came to life, but it's also one of the challenges that I think is worth talking about here is that we got really excited with a lot of our levels and a lot of our opportunities. It's one of the levels we actually had to cut back on a little bit because we were introducing too many concepts, too many cool ideas. We were answering too many questions. And at the end of the day, going back to that focus of just, well, what's the actual narrative of this level? Why is Lucanus here? And why are the points of conflict throughout that sequence of events, why are they happening? Right. So it was trying to come back to that and making sure everything had a purpose and a meaning. But along the way that we had some really great opportunities, and the team volunteered so many cool things that they were inspired by themselves. I want to spoil everything, but I'm going to try not to. So
now while working on this project, what music you guys were listening to get inspired? Because I love the soundtrack of this game, and I know the music came after everything was like designed and everything like that. Was there any music that probably like helped you to design the level? Was it going back to the older games, listening to that soundtrack while working on it, or what?
Well, for me, there was a lot of soundtracks from past games for sure, and like from all of BioWare's library. But yeah, a lot of soundtracks, but a huge variety of other stuff too.
I'm one of those weirdos that like almost entirely just listens to soundtracks. I love instrumental stuff. I love that. So yeah, it was the back catalog of all the great movie soundtracks and things in the background. It just that stuff. You just close your eyes and it just you picture whole scenes, whole landscapes, all that. It's been great. Like there's especially the Ghost in the Darkness soundtrack is one of my all time favorites. And then there's basically anything by James Newton Howard is like, that's classic. But yeah.
Oh, well then I'm gonna make this a multi-part one. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the create a character, how in depth that is. So maybe you can kind of lightly touch on that. But again, coming at this from a new player standpoint into Dragon Age, the class I picked was a warrior. And I'm seeing the skill tree and how you're going to be able to spec things out. So my question is, will you be able to respec in the game as you go along? And what is the replayability like as far as using different classes? Is there going to be incentive to want to use different classes when you go back and replay the game?
Yeah, what's great is even though I'm like probably one of the least qualified to answer this question, I can still answer it, which is good. Yeah, you'll be able to respec, and the amount of times like both of us have played through so often that like it's been really fun to just explore how these different paths have gone, and it is to me it's felt like almost a different game every time I do. Like you can being able to respec, rebuild, try different things. I mean, even just honestly, the warrior alone has become so much more fun, and like the possibilities of what shape that can take is just like, it's really dramatic. I don't know if you'd have more insightful things being more on the design side.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting to the point where every time I create a new character now, which by the way is a rabbit hole that I go down for hours and hours. So that's tough. But I've played every class and I like them all. Rogue is my favorite. But it's to the point where I start designing the characters around the class. I picked that ahead of time. But I want to make sure I touch on the first part of your question, which was about respecking. And we do allow full respecking at any time. There's a refund all option, or you can refund manually individual points. And the idea is we don't want you to have to stress about picking the wrong thing and making a mistake. We want you to actually go out and test it. And if you don't like it, you can always go back. And in my own playthroughs, and I've done many full playthroughs, I am halfway through my fifth playthrough to the end right now. But I've played it more times than that. I've started the game hundreds of times. But the main thing I've learned is I don't get tired of playing a warrior build. I don't get tired of playing a rogue build. I try different things. I start building all these ideas of like, oh, well, now I know what I could do, and I want to go back and try it. Once I finally get different gear and stuff. So I find it's actually really helping that replayability. It just builds the possibilities.
Awesome. Slight bonus on that, and then we'll end it right here. So part of creating your character, like you can be a human or an elf or things like that, are there any specific traits to picking one of those characters, for lack of a better term, that can add to your gameplay going through Dragon Age? Well,
it'll definitely impact the narrative of that, and John could do a much better job of talking to that. But we do have, for whichever your origin you pick, there are some gameplay differences. There are some lore differences based on if you play a dwarf, for example, you can't be a mage. So we do have a little bit built into that, but mostly it's going to be dialogue opportunities, and they're pretty good. I've been having a lot of fun with the dialogue options.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate your time, gentlemen. This has been insightful. I'm excited to go back and continue to play to see more of it, but this is fun. I'm looking forward to this coming out on October 31st.
That's right. Yeah. No, thank you so much for your interest and your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.